She was found naked from the waist down in the gutter across the street from her home. A river of blood was streaming from her head wound and running down the street.
The mysterious death of Kat West. With bated breath, both sets of Kathleen West's parents anxiously awaited the verdict from the Montgomery County jury. The year is 2021, and 47-year-old Jeff West sat quietly in the courtroom as the jury filed in and handed his fate to presiding Judge William Bostick. Calera, Alabama, wasn't exactly amenable to circumstances such as these. The media, the sex, the naked dead body on a suburban street. Kat West was too big for Shelby County and for life itself. Her untimely demise would ultimately lead to nothing short of utter bafflement to even those closest to her. Shelby County would never be the same. John Robbins, a criminal defense attorney, was confident of his client's innocence. The Alford plea, immediately rejected with disdain by Jeff West, further proved that he did not murder his beautiful wife. Something so heinous tends to be unthinkable in the minds of many. A senseless act of a drunken accident? The question continues to remain. "I won't plead guilty to something I didn't do," retorted Jeff defiantly to Robbins. The army recruiter remained adamant about his innocence even to this day. He knew the consequences of denying a plea deal from the prosecution. Denying and admitting guilt at the same time by law wasn't necessarily a palatable offer to most. To Jeff, it was, in fact, an insult. The truth remained: Kat West was dead, and everyone, even her parents, blamed the blonde Marilyn Monroe lookalike for her lifestyle choices. Leaving behind her young daughter Lola, her family, and countless friends, Kat West was gone forever. Her absence, if possible, was even stronger than her presence. She reverberated heavily through the walls. Her intensity remained after death. An oboe, tuning the orchestra of a courtroom, was symbolic of her exuberance. "Guilty," the foreman read. The single word hung in the air like a ceaseless wind chime. Heads dropped. The unanimous verdict was in, and that November, Jeff West faced sentencing of up to 16 years in prison for the reckless manslaughter of his beautiful 42-year-old wife, Kat West. Our story begins 3 years earlier with a seemingly happy, albeit unlikely, couple. Kat and Jeff West were a pair that often struck awe to many. Opposites do indeed attract, though. While Kat was a drop-dead Marilyn Monroe lookalike smoke show, Jeff presented as plain and bald with slightly gapped teeth, but a sweetheart who, according to all, wouldn't harm a fly.
I mean, he does not have a history of violence.
Jeff could not have possibly done it.
An image of him snapping and committing the unthinkable indeed wasn't something that would cross the minds of anyone who knew him. Never holding his I love yous close to the cusp, he often doted on his beloved wife, Kat. The two had outrageous parties and regularly enjoyed elaborate cocktails with friends, while Kat would dance and jump around, frequently topless. Kat would sing her heart out to anyone who would listen after a few drinks, and despite the lack of pitch or tone, everyone loved her. A true Florence Foster Jenkins energy became her. Out-of-tune chords still reverberated lovingly through her legacy. Fond recollections continued to flood the minds of all who loved her dearly. However, the lively parties abruptly halted once the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 took hold. Everything was shut down, from the bars to the churches, and the oppositely attracted couple grew antsy. In an attempt for a semblance of normalcy, the 14-year-long married couple decided to begin an online sexual presence for Kat with an OnlyFans account. A newly designed sex social media app, ripe for the pandemic, began to take hold across the United States and the world. Anyone could immediately become a porn star from the comforts of their home. Men from all over could connect with real women, which seemed to be a win-win for everyone. Jeff got his kicks recording videos and taking photos of his bombshell wife, and Kat got her kicks from the exhibitionism and therefore the attention she so longingly craved. All was right in the world. Fun and games abounded with caring parents watching Lola for multiple nights a week, until that fateful night when Marcia Purifoy drove to work at dawn, as usual in January. "I didn't know what I was seeing. I was traumatized," recounted Marcia somberly. She was the first one to allegedly discover Kat's lifeless, naked body on that suburban road. When police arrived, they noticed that next to her body was her cell phone, with a bottle of absinthe placed conspicuously on top of it. Regarding the placement of the items, experts to this day vehemently proclaimed were staged. Is it coincidence? They pondered. That what Jeff was most angry about? Her phone usage and drinking were set so delicately at the crime scene? After a thorough inspection by police, no hair or DNA showed on the bottle or cat. Oddly, not one smidge of evidence was present aside from 2 fingerprints. They belonged to Jeff West. Authorities later exclaimed that it's rather odd there were only 2 prints found. Since Jeff and Kat drank all night, shouldn't his prints be all over the bottle? The location of the prints was odd as well. They appeared to show his finger placed on a bottle as if he was holding it and then striking her. Lucid absinthe was the key that sealed the deal to his fate. Kat's bold, extroverted presence didn't escape the minds of those closest to her, including her parents. Her mother wouldn't take the stand in defense of Jeff, stating that her daughter would become quite intoxicated and display extreme emotional states was an understatement. Suddenly, everyone began to put every alcoholic drink and every risque photo under a microscope, and people ate it up. Marilyn Monroe graced the backgrounds of her photos, and the racy shots matched the image she was eager to portray. An appetite for love knew no bounds for the ill-fated beauty. The tragedy was undoubtedly the destiny of emerald-eyed Kat. According to her best friend Brittany, Kat was outgoing, friendly, and warm. Jeff was more withdrawn, but loved his wife and daughter dearly. Kat was delighted with her family from the outside. There wasn't even the slightest hint of discord. The police officer who was present at the scene of her death, however, noted wild discrepancies. He would later remark that Jeff appeared nonchalant, casually smoking a cigarette and not even asking a single question about his wife's condition. Slowly, the clues began to add up, but not for Kat's parents. They have stood unwaveringly by his side to even this day, despite texts retrieved by officials that revealed significant problems between the couple. Many insisted that Jeff was innocent and that one of Kat's fans killed her. Detectives scoured the social media profiles that Kat had set up across multiple platforms. From Facebook to OnlyFans, the simple fact remained, Kat was a hot commodity. She was exceptionally popular online and in person, always ready for a drink and a fun time. We go back to that night. Jeff and Kat had dropped off Lola at her parents' house that evening, so they could have the evening alone. They went to their local bar, where they had dinner and several drinks. Nothing was out of the ordinary at that point. The couple began their trek home, but stopped at the nearby liquor store first. They appear incredibly happy and casual on candid camera, including footage of Jeff playfully smacking her rear end at one point inside the store. They grabbed a bottle of Lucid brand absinthe and subsequently headed for home. When they arrived at the house, they continued to drink, and then Kat began her business dealings. Jeff took various photos and videos of his wife so she could post them for many strangers online. Jealous? Not a single chance. Friends and family would later recount. Many would say, though, that she often took off her clothes in front of people and would frequently walk around outside, not only flamboyantly, but had a talent for clumsiness. Did Kat West get drunk and stumble around outside, hit her head, and die next to her phone and the bottle? Her 2 closest loves? Or was her 3rd closest love, her husband, an ominous lurking figure in the shadow of her C-list fame, the one who caused her untimely death? The jury says guilty, and there he sits for 16 years. A manslaughter charge was ultimately agreed to, although it doesn't change the fact that a group of his peers decided he was culpable in the death of his bombshell wife. How do we reconcile the nature of such a tragic circumstance? A horrific death, an accident, a malicious murder carried out by a meticulous stalker on OnlyFans? While the possibilities are endless, the truth is not. The truth is that a beautiful woman was found dead naked in the street by her suburban home, only with a liquor bottle and a cell phone by her side. Her husband was not beside her as he quietly smoked in a dark corner. Even though the evidence seems relatively flat on its face, there is no denying the circumstances surrounding Kat's death are suspicious.
It's just so mysterious. No matter whether there was a verdict or not, I'm still left just wondering what happened between them.
Is it possible that Jeff West is that much of a malicious psychopath to convince his wife's friends and even her parents that he is innocent? That Kat got drunk and fell into the street? Or is the sinister mystery encompassing the situation more than meets the eye? Indeed, no one wants to entertain the ulterior motives of one who seems perfect. A couple who seems unconventionally qualified for a fairy tale love. One sure thing we do know is that Kat West will no longer grace the lives of everyone around her. The rooms she lit up will continue to be dim, and there will be no more off-tune singing through the halls. A young daughter no longer has her mother to cling to, or her father to hug on cold nights and silent Januaries. May her light shine on in the lives of her family and those she touched. for we all have a Cat West inside us. What are your thoughts on the mysterious death of Cat West? Let us know in the comments below. If you appreciated this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more true crime coverage. Thanks for watching, and see you soon in the next video.